All right. So, is, is your volume up right now?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, might need to turn that down a second because we are live in austere conditions. By the way, so what?
Nothing. So we're live.
We are live, yeah. And so, what's up, y'all? It's Mike and Wendy. It's the Marriage Shop, and then let me make sure that we got that down. But yeah, we're in the Marriage Shop as usual, and it is anything but
There's music playing.
okay. Now I guess that's still so anything but normal conditions. All right, anything but normal conditions. Mike and Wendy in the Marriage Shop,
Hey guys.
making
So
it happen.
it's Monday. It's a little after 7. We're Mike and Wendy, like he said. We're in the Marriage Shop, and we are on the road, on our way back from picking up our daughter.
Yes. So we were this morning when we woke up. We were in Syracuse, New York, and that would be close enough to throw a rock to Canada, in case you didn't know. And so, and that's almost true. And so now we are about at the halfway point.
Yes. So Adrian Thomas, hello, and Gerald Wilson, thanks for joining us. There may be a few others on, but I can't see everybody on my phone, but I'll try to shout you out as you join us tonight. Yeah. So we're excited to be back again. Some of you caught us last week and maybe the week before. We started our talks, our series, our discussions on Making Love Nonstop. So the first one, what did we talk about on Making Love Nonstop? It was about being love.
Yeah.
Hashtag being love.
That's right. It was about the expression of love in more ways than just what we think about when we talk about making love.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And then last week we talked about sex, part 1. And what did we talk about?
What? You put me on the spot. We talked about sex. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
I don't remember. I'm on the road, man. Where are my notes?
Okay.
You remember what we talked about?
Nope.
Somebody tell us what we talked about last week. Because I've been so focused today on this week.
Okay. So what are we talking about tonight?
Whoa. Slowly. First, we gotta just first thank y'all for signing on. Thanks to Wanda and Tyrone Morrell for the Veterans Day hoodies and everything. So and also thank you to all the veterans. We didn't talk about this last week, but just to thank you to everyone who served, everyone who's a family member of anyone who served. And so we're just kind of rocking these tonight. Shout out to veterans. We're veterans ourselves. And yeah, so of course I'm also a Cowboy fan, which makes me also like walking wounded for at least 20 years.
Oh my goodness. J. Michael Sherman and Lynn Lou Williams, thanks for joining us. I'm a Raiders fan and they annihilated the Broncos yesterday. So it's a good week.
The Broncos, aren't they sorry anyway?
It doesn't matter. Okay. A win is a win.
That's fine. I don't know what the Broncos are doing this year. I don't think anybody does. So anyway, but thank y'all for coming on. I mean, y'all are here every week and we really appreciate you.
Yes.
And so hopefully you're getting something that is helpful to you. But tonight you probably want to share this one. We were actually, we didn't even debate really, because sometimes, we're out on the road, it's a debate. Are we going to try to make this happen or not? But tonight we're like, hey, we're going to keep this thing going and we're going to talk about it tonight. Right.
Yes.
So
Rella, thanks for joining us. Always glad when you drop into the shop.
Yeah. What's up, Rella? It's been a long time actually. So, anyway, so tonight we're talking about sex again, but every week we're going to keep this going for a few weeks because there's a few different angles to touch on here. And
that's funny.
It's always got to be about.
I mean, yes.
There's a few different angles to touch on, and so now we're talking about makeup sex, right? So, I mean, and when you say makeup sex, we're not trying to redefine that. That's what you think it is, right? Makeup sex, but the question is, and the one posed in the post is like, is it enough, right? Because there's actually a place, and a lot of times, well, you know what? Go ahead, talk about it, Wendy, because I was about to just go straight there, but we gotta slow that thing down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we always try to start with asking you, so we want to hear from you. when you hear the term makeup sex, or well, yeah, define it for us. What does it mean for you guys? We have done a little bit of research. We know how we interpret it, but before we make any assumptions, we want to know, when you hear those words, what does that mean? What resonates with you? Drop it in the chat so we can talk about it from there.
Real talk. When he did the research, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. And done. I know what it means. It's yeah. I think it's an important part of the equation, actually. But yeah, I'm curious what you all think about that. What it means, what it does, even.
All right, Christina Janae, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Christina Janae. Okay. Yeah. So my inputs are slow. So, or you know what I'm saying, my stream, my comments, whatever. So, so you're gonna have to tell us if we're missing some comments or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, nobody. Okay. So I guess. So we don't mind putting ourselves out there and all that stuff, but it's a little quiet up in the chat, people. I mean, it's a little quiet in the chat, but you can chat about it if you like. So, oh, what's up? Hey. So anyway, all right. So fine, we'll define it, or we'll talk about it a little bit. But it's there. All of us have arguments, right? If you're married, you have arguments, you have disagreements, there's conflict or whatever. And a lot of times, wait a minute.
Charles Ham, that's kind of funny. Really?
When the Raiders beat the Cowboys and she makes fun of him and hurts his feelings, he deserves makeup sex.
Thanks.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's hilarious.
That's good.
I was not expecting that at all. So, and I've been driving for a long time today. That's you. Wow. Okay. That's I'd show that. Okay. So, all right. So that may be true. What else?
I don't know. We got to give them a second to catch up.
All right. We got a second to catch up. So yeah. And while we wait, giving them a second to catch up. Thanks to you guys for your prayers. We went to Syracuse, pick up Morgan, and some of she had COVID. But you'll be happy to know Morgan's looking like $1 million. She's looking better than me. Looking like she feels better than me too, right?
Yeah. So Christina Janae said, when I think of makeup sex, I think of sex after settling the argument, or sex to settle the argument. That's good.
Yeah. So, and that it's interesting that she made kind of those two distinctions, because that's interesting, given kind of where we're going tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, who else other than Christina Janae? There we go. The intentional efforts to heal from conflict.
That's good.
J. Michael Sherman, that's interesting too. Matter of fact, I need a pen. So the intentional effort to heal from conflict. I want to highlight the word heal there, because I wonder if that's everybody's intentional effort. What?
Nothing.
You look what?
Nothing.
I mean, is it? But is it your sense that that's everybody's the effort to heal? Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Those are two good ones.
Yeah.
And so I'll say this. No matter what, and we talked about sex being an important part of a marital relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And so we know it's a part of it, and so it's going to be involved in the communication and in the connection and all that, because it goes way beyond just creating children.
Yeah.
Right. And thank goodness it does, because we be done.
Well, yeah.
And so it's really important. But you know what? Let me just grab both of these real quick. First, I want to go to J. Michael Sherman's comment.
Okay.
Effort to heal from conflict. I would say that that's sometimes the effort. But I would also say that for some people, it's an effort to run from conflict.
Interesting. Okay.
Why would I say that, people? Right? Because for some people, there's something about what is it about the argument anyway? What is about an argument? Because you would think, I mean, just intuitively speaking, when there's conflict, the last thing two people want to do is to connect in that way. And yet, sometimes that's when the connection can be most intense after that argument. What is that?
What is what?
That tendency to want to connect.
Oh, well, I mean, when you are in the midst of an argument, there are a lot of things that happen biologically, psychologically. I mean, essentially, you're being aroused in a way. You are being stimulated, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically. Things that are happening. You know, your heart rate gets faster, your blood pressure may increase. All of those same things, right? So you're in the throes of that.
Hold on now.
What?
So you're getting a little deep with that.
Oh,
and so
that's what I thought you were asking.
Well, we're gonna talk about the psychology and the biology.
Oh,
right?
yes,
I
later.
need you to later. So we're coming back with the psychology and the biology around this thing, like some of the mechanisms that drive some of that. But I'm trying to take them like to the thing that most people don't think about. The automatic response is what I'm talking about. What is that? You understand what I'm saying?
Nope.
Oh my God. Okay, so look, it is sometimes there's this intensity of arousal and attraction, right? You just like, for some reason, I don't know. It's just like, okay, conflict over, let's go, boom, right?
I mean, for some people, yes.
For some people, right?
Yeah, and so that's what I was getting at. So that arousal or that excitement gets transferred. There's like this transference of everything that is happening, right? So it's almost like getting amped up, and then there's no resolution, there's no release, there's no outlet, there's no there's no resolution. Yeah.
And so the sex life is the resolving thing. Charles Ham said it's the grown up pacifier. Yeah,
that's funny.
Grown up version pacifier is funny.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, maybe that's true.
And then Jeff Hill says makeup sex is a perceived sense that all is okay. Yeah, that's good. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Rella says, I don't get the desire to connect at all when in the midst of an argument. So tonight I'll just be an active listener. And that is also true. And the one thing that we want to point out about this, sex at any point is better when it's consensual, right? And so the idea is that you both agree that this is something that you're going to do. And so even in the midst of an argument or when you're angry or whatever, the idea or the thought is, after, like Christina was saying, after you finish an argument or you come to some kind of agreement or resolution, then there are some people who say, okay, so because we went through all that and now we're done talking about it, and now we just need to physically connect. I feel a need for that connection. I want to be closer to you. That's one definition or one way that happens. Another way is if there is no resolution, but you still have that desire to be physically close or to connect in some way. That also can occur, but it is important that it's not one person saying, hey, okay, so that argument is done, let's go ahead and get to some makeup sex. And the other person is like, no, I don't even want to see you right now. I can't stand you right now. That's a very real possibility. So if you're not both in agreement, which biblically you should only come together when you both agree. But if you're not both in agreement, then you shouldn't be making love. Period.
Right. And so exactly, as Christina alluded to, Xavier, like a singer, also said, like, way to reconnect after.
Yeah.
And so the way that this occurs, and that's kind of what we're talking about this, really, right? Because there is the wanting to avoid the argument altogether. Some people connect very well sexually, even though they can't communicate very well otherwise.
True.
And so sometimes, or maybe something comes up, right? And I know it's like, okay, I don't want to deal with this thing head on. And so, but I know that sexually we can be in the midst of conflict and still have sex. And so some people will actually just try to avoid it all, right? You know what?
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna make things feel better. And by the way, sex actually does have the effect of making people feel closer, right?
Yes.
There are underlying reasons for that. It
Mm-hmm.
has a way of changing the way that you think about things, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Some people take advantage of that and never get to the real issue.
Right. And that's why it's important to note that it is not a replacement for conflict resolution.
That's
So
right.
you shouldn't use makeup sex or sex as a vehicle for conflict avoidance. It's not, okay, so either we talk it out or we make love and move on. Because
Mhm.
what'll happen is your conflict will be unresolved. And so all you'll do is fight, have sex, fight, have sex, fight, have sex. And you want to break that cycle because the idea is that you are working towards some type of resolution, somehow, some way. Is it true that being physically close and connecting can be healing? Yes, that is true.
Mhm.
Does it also bring you closer together? Yes, also fact.
Yeah.
Does it resolve the problems? By itself, the answer is no.
Nope. No, there's no avoiding getting to the point of discussing things,
Mm-hmm.
of working all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, sex can actually make that conversation more possible. When
Mm-hmm.
you know you have a problem is when you avoid the conversation altogether. And I even encourage, like, even if you feel better about something,
Mm-hmm.
right, but you haven't really talked it through, if it's not like resolved, you got to check in and see, okay, what do we need to talk about now? Maybe we're in a better place now that we can talk about it,
Yeah.
right? But as well, I alluded to, maybe your thing is like, get the heck away from me because we still got issues on the table,
Yeah.
right? And I also want to speak to this misconception because there's a misconception, and if you pull up a lot of stuff, it's like, men, it's just like, yeah, sex, 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 sex. It doesn't matter what's going on. That's just not the case, like across the board. Some people, like, and many men, need to have that resolution before they can be in that mental space as well. So I want to dispel the stereotype that that's just the case because it's just not.
Hmm. Okay.
What?
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 I just said, okay. I mean, it's true. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even when we talked about it last week, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as it relates to sex drive or whatever else, it's a very individual thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, that all men or all women are a certain way. Generalizations don't really apply. And
Mm-hmm.
we always encourage you to know your spouse, know what makes them tick, what works for them, know each other. And I know you, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to be able to mentally disconnect, but physically connect, is that a thing?
Well, for some people, I think it's, well, yeah. So you mentioned avoidance earlier. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to mentally disconnect, you're trying to take me away from this thing or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's certainly a thing, right? I mean, the question is it a helpful thing, and is it a pattern? I think, and that's the word, I guess. One
Mm-hmm.
of the things we're talking about is kind of this pattern of we have an issue, we have sex, we don't deal with issue, right? If that's the pattern, well, that pattern is probably a problem, and you probably see the same issues reoccurring and reoccurring and reoccurring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think that can be an issue, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Hey, Makiba Jackson,
what's
thanks for joining us.
hey,
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah. So a pattern of not resolving the issue can be a problem.
for sure.
Okay. So as it relates to this whole idea of makeup sex
Hmm.
or conflict cover up,
Hmm.
is it either or?
Um, well, maybe. I mean, it just depends on where you are, right? Because sometimes the issue is, some things don't require you to come back around. Sometimes it's just, something happened, we got it, we understand, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's make up.
Yeah.
But I think that there are some major things that people will kind of try to sweep under the rug by way of an active sex life,
Yeah.
right? And so, I mean, I don't know if it's about an either or. It's just about in a particular situation or in a series of situations.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do, right?
Mm.
Um, but I do think that it is, and we'll talk about why and later again. But I think that your sex life actually can be a really cool and active part of how you work through conflict.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. Um, Talking about sex is taking a bit of a risk, right? Because we know that there's some people, Christians and others, who don't talk about sex,
Mhm.
and it becomes a topic that we avoid altogether. And so we understand that sex is a part of marriage,
Mhm.
but to what extent it is a part of marriage really is only determined by your marriage or your relationship.
Mhm.
So, because people don't like to talk about it, then the issues related to it or how sex shows up or when we have sex in marriage is also equally not discussed as much. Right. So, as we kind of introduce different topics and really just kind of discuss and try to break down some things, I mean, of course, we're not going to come in here every week and just tell y'all all about our sex life, right? Or what it means to us. And the intent is not for you to do that either, right? But we do want to have conversations about it because the more that we talk about it and explore it and research it and discuss it and share, the easier it is for us to have a deeper understanding of what it could be, what it is, what's acceptable in your relationship, and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, over the course of a year, there's a number of things we're going to touch on, right?
Hmm.
And so all those things won't apply directly to everyone.
Yeah.
Most of those things will have applied to everyone at some point in their marriage. And so, whether or not, I think our job is to talk about the things, even the things that are uncomfortable, the things that are unpopular, the things that, well, basically, it's to talk about the things that matter. Because at some point, every single conversation is going to hit someone in a way that they need at that time. And
Hmm.
so in the way that we do this, you don't even get to always see where the impact is.
Yeah.
But I think we have done this long enough, and whenever we are compelled to go and speak or do whatever, whoever needs to hear is going to receive it. Right. And so, sex for some people is not a thing they want to talk about, but that's kind of that's our deal, right? There are things that people do not want to talk about around marriage because what we learned is, what happens at home stays home. Don't talk about that stuff, etc.
Hmm.
And so what then happens is we take in information all the time. And so we're taking in things, and some folks, unbeknownst to them, they're making comparisons, they're making judgments
Yeah.
about what's right, what's wrong, what it should be like, whatever, or just have no idea what it should be like. All I know is that I'm mad
Yeah.
because it is not how it should be, and there's no
Hmm.
point of reference. So, at the very least, our job is to provide a point of reference, right? And so, and we do that from a Christian perspective because there is a very solid point of reference,
Yeah.
and because sex is talked about in the Bible, and because and throughout, by the way,
Hmm.
um, it's important that be entered into the conversation as well. So if you're a little bit uncomfortable with sex conversation, maybe the question for you is, what's so uncomfortable about it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And, starting a conversation about it, starting to be a little bit more open and transparent with your spouse about it, talking about it can be a way of arousing each other's curiosities that you may not have considered, right?
Hmm.
And so that whole exploration, that whole discovery is all part of the process.
Hmm.
And we talked about that last week, the confusion that a lot of people experience when their first exposure to sex is through TV or friends or when they're kids whatever else, but those
Mhm.
conversations are not happening at home. And you talked about comparisons. I mean, how many magazines out there, Men's Health or Cosmopolitan, you can go on either side,
Mhm.
that have like provocative titles, the best sex you ever had, and how to please your man in 55 ways, or whatever it is. And so we're reading those articles, and they would lead you to believe that both people are always ready, and all you have to do is just jump into bed and it just magically happens, or that there's no such thing as like morning breath.
Oh, there is. Trust.
or
Everybody knows.
or that
Right.
there
Mhm.
aren't real challenges, or that everybody is doing it all the time at the drop of a dime,
Mhm.
and it's every day for several hours. I mean, there's all kinds of messages out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
so
doubt.
this idea of makeup sex, right? And so we see all these images, movies, different places, and it's like you see these people and they're like in the throes of passion, and it is just hot and heavy, and people swear by the fact that makeup sex is the best sex because it's intense. And the truth is that is not always true for everyone.
Mhm.
Um, but what we want to do is encourage you to find out what is true for you. So, what does it mean for you? Do you both sit in the same place? Do you share the same perspective and understanding of what makeup sex is? Is it even a thing for you?
Mhm. Yeah. And which gets back to the idea of having conversations about things you just typically don't have conversations about.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that you all would be surprised at the things that we just never talk about, but I don't think that people talk about
Mm-hmm.
those things
Mm-hmm.
most often, right? It just happens
Yeah.
versus saying, hey, you know what? Here's the deal, and really kind of laying it out. This is how I need it to work. This is how I need it to be. This is how I think, how my body functions, how my mind works,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the conversations that we're asking you to have probably will be awkward for some people
Yeah.
because it's just like, why are we talking about this? That's just not. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and so it's easier to just let it happen. But the better you know each other,
Mm-hmm.
well, then intimacy comes from knowing, right? I think you said something like that. And
Yes.
so, and that intimacy will enhance everything about your relationship so that you can make love nonstop, right? In
Yes.
your heart, in your mind, and certainly in your body. And J.
Yeah.
Michael Sherman, okay, you wild. He said,
Yeah.
he said he thought everybody had great makeup sex.
He says,
But
I think I just used the makeup sex as an excuse to the makeup as an excuse to have sex. And that could be true, right?
some people do.
Yeah, some people do. The
Yeah,
real question is, what does your wife say about it, right? And so when
that's the real
we
question, right?
yeah, when we are talking about this thing, it's like, okay, well, if I'm over here and I'm thinking, well, when we do this, this is the expectation. If we have a big fight, then I can expect that after we finish that fight, or after we talk about it, or after all that happens, that the part of our reconciliation is that we're going to then end up in the bed together. If that's what I'm thinking, is it comes back to expectations. And we talk about expectations all the time. Expectations really need to be shared and discussed, right?
Mhm.
We need to clarify expectations, because if that's my expectation, but those aren't your expectations, then there's always going to be a miss. And what you don't want to happen is that you're on opposite sides of that thing. So one person, you both agree to go ahead and make love, but one person in their mind is makeup sex. The other person in their mind is just sex. And as soon as we get finished, we're going right back in to finish the argument.
Or yeah,
Recipe for disaster.
or worse, let me just get this over with so I can have my space.
Mm, yeah. And so that would kind of trend a little bit more towards the conflict cover up,
Hmm.
right? It
Yeah.
is just and it is our hope that you're not suffering through marriage, but also that you're not suffering through sex.
Yeah.
It's not just it is not a husbandly duty or a wifely duty, and you as the husband or wife, you're obligated to have sex out of duty, right? You're just
Mm-hmm.
doing part of your job. You don't enjoy it. You don't get anything from it. It's not any of the things that we talked about. It's not healing. It's not stress release. It's not intimacy. It's none of those things for you.
Mm-hmm.
You just see it as a necessary evil within your marriage. That's not what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what God intended it to be.
Yeah.
And so while sex is for reproduction, it is for intimacy, it can be stress release, it can be healing in some ways, it can be all those things. But the two of you determine what it is for you
Mm-hmm.
and what it means for your marriage.
Right. The two of you. So if you've decided, hey, I'm good, and that's it, conversation hadn't gone far enough. By the way, First Lady said, it's always great. First Lady Sherman.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
That's
up.
good.
Yeah. And so, and so that's the thing, right? But making sure that you're both in the same place at the same time on that is critically important. Because if the pattern becomes, hey, this is what we do in order to avoid the issue, then that can be a very destructive pattern. Because there are people who are divorced today, still have great sex, right? But they're divorced right now because they didn't deal with the things that they had been running from by covering up their sex life.
Yeah, and those are people who usually say we're sexually compatible, but we're not compatible in any other way. And the idea would be that one is not exclusive of the other. Hi, Anna Reeves. We do owe you a call. We did get your message. Thanks for joining us tonight. So this whole idea of, is sex an important part of marriage? It is. Is it the most important part of marriage? Only you can determine that. Should it be enjoyable? Yes. Is it in God's plan for marriage? Yes, it is. And how do you define a healthy sex life within your marriage? Again, up to the two of you.
Yeah. The two of you. Again, if you good and your spouse is not, y'all ain't good. That was kind of country, right? I don't even know, but but y'all not, all right? So one person does not get determined if we're good or not, all right? And so that's why it's this shared experience. Even though the word does say, like, don't deny each other. That's in the word. Don't deny each other.
Except for such a time that you both agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like come together in prayer and then hook up. I think that's the Mike Perry 2020 version, but it's something like that. So that's in there though.
Yeah. But again, about sex in marriage, being in the same place, expectations that need to be discussed, being in the same place mentally, emotionally, before you're connecting physically. I talked about wholehearted, right? That my mind, my body, everything about me is here with you before I connect with you. Because it's not fair to you if it's not, right? And so doesn't mean that you can, am I saying that you can't have sex without all that connection? No, I'm not, because you can have sex with no connection. But we want you to be connected in every way that you possibly can to get the most out of sex in marriage.
Yeah. So that's what's up. Oh, what's up, Justice Smith?
Yes.
When you sneak in there. So yeah, so I think that's it. So the bottom line is there is no rule, right? There is no, we got to resolve it all before we have sex, right? There's no rule that, it's about how you flow. The important piece is to ensure that you don't leave things that are really important on the table. But sex, and we're going to talk about, I think it's important. I don't know if we want to go ahead and just deal with the biology and the psychology of it all next week. Maybe
just a little bit.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, because the biology and psychology of sex and marriage is something that we offer as it is a service. Many of you know that we work with couples.
Yes.
It's one of the paid services that we offer. So we're going to share some of that with you.
That's fine.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
But not all of it. We don't give it all away for free.
Not all of it. Y'all get quite a bit of it. And so, but we do want to kind of help you to understand that there's a reason why you feel the way that you feel. why we do some of the things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And there are sometimes underlying forces that promote, drive, or motivate certain behavior.
Yeah.
Certainly around relationships, certainly around sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The signals that you give each other too. So here's something. If it is that you're not talking, or you're not in a talking mood, or you're arguing, or whatever else, you really need to come to an agreement and have a discussion about, okay, so when do we determine that we're good?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it could be that we don't completely resolve the argument or the disagreement that we're having, but does that mean that we're not good? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what is good enough? So only you can determine what's good enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm at 70%, is that good enough?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do I have to be at 100%? Because I mean, maybe not. And I will just come out and say, I mean, I've said sometimes we just talk too much.
She has, yeah, you said that.
Yeah. Sometimes, I
That's
mean,
right.
you said everything that you need to say. Sometimes it's just time to stop talking.
Mm-hmm. So you, hey, feel it out, people. But the important thing is, if you get the cold shoulder, it ain't time, right? But a lot of times, what happens is people get the cold shoulder and they get mad. Well, fine then, and then they walk out. I'm gonna get me some toasted oats.
Oh my goodness!
You gotta give me some cereal. I'm sick of this, right? No, like if you get the cold shoulder, that means probably maybe there's still some talking to do, or maybe you just need to hush up for that night and go back in tomorrow. I'm not sure. Figure it out. But you can't force the issue, and you can't run when
That's
things
good.
are unresolved.
That's good. You can't force the issue, and you can't run when things are unresolved. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's a whole.
Hey, Carla Vidal.
Hey,
Thanks
Carla.
for joining us.
What's
So,
up?
yeah, so we're throwing a whole lot of different things in here, but this is really get you guys started having the conversations that maybe you haven't had. We're really trying to make you a little bit more comfortable, wrapping your minds around this whole idea of, hey, our marriage is more than one dimension.
Yeah.
That it's not just, okay, this is what happens. We meet, we date, we meet, we date, we get engaged, we get married, we have kids, and then we live our lives for a long time. We retire, we grow old, we sit on a porch in a rocking chair. I mean, maybe that is what the trajectory is for you, but many marriages, that's not the case. Sometimes you turn left when you thought you were going right, or you're under when you thought you were over. I mean, but what's important is that you're connected, that you are communicating, and that you're understanding. So Justice Smith says, oh, yes, we did see that. We saw that. And I saw some of your videos. So thanks for dropping that in there. You guys are amazing. They do two different things. So that's where they have fun with their family, the Super Smiths, and they subscribe to our YouTube channel. You guys are missing out if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel. We have that top 10 playlist. Okay, I'm sorry, I was distracted, but yeah, we appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And so we go live on Facebook. All of our old videos are here on Facebook, and most of them are on. We're still trying.
But there's still
transporting.
There's a decent archive on
yes,
YouTube right now. Yeah. And so, but J. Michael Sherman brought up a great point I want to emphasize. If you can watch this with your spouse, please do, because there are a lot of things that we talk about that are just going to trigger conversations.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we want to do. Maybe trigger some conversations you haven't had. Yeah. Because we'll sit and I've been guilty of at times being like, yeah, we good on that, whatever, no conversation whatsoever. I'm just like, from my perspective, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And then I discover that there's some things that I'm missing, or maybe, we're reading or looking at something. It's like, you know what? Maybe we should talk about that. Maybe we should get into that. So,
yeah. So two things. I love what Makiba Jackson says, and she says, give them some specs, then revisit the situation.
Space.
Great space. Oh, yeah. Specs.
Okay,
I'll have my glasses on. Give them some
specs.
space. Some specs.
I'm like
Here are the
6'2",
specifics. Give
12.
them some space and then revisit.
Mhm.
Great advice. And we talked about that really when we talked about fighting fair and how if you have that one person who tends to shut down, giving space. But if you give space, make sure you discuss how long you're going to allow that space so that you make sure that you come back. You agree on when you're going to reconnect after allowing some space. But great advice.
Yes.
Anna, it is freezing where we are. So
It's like 50 degrees. Is that
well,
freezing?
no, it's cold.
It's pretty cold out there.
We are, yeah.
Harrisonburg, Virginia right now. Can I say that?
No.
Too late. We're in Harrisonburg. So
Traveling south
any JMU people, we in your
from
town.
upstate New York. So yes, still just a little cold. Yes, we're cold.
Yeah, but don't. Hey, if you try, I'm telling you now, you try looking at a house, you can catch a bad one. So don't do it.
So Tanya Walton, it is the Marriage Shop on YouTube. So if you type in the Marriage Shop on YouTube, it's the same. Yep.
That's it.
Okay, so tonight, if you just joined us or you're joining us for the first time, we're Mike and Wendy in the Marriage Shop. Tonight, we're talking about sex and marriage part 2. And we were talking about makeup sex versus conflict cover-up and had some discussions about it. I thought it was good that you said, hey, look at those old videos or new videos. Catch us live every Monday at 7.
Yeah.
What we want to do is get you guys talking. We don't have all the answers. We are not the experts on everything. Okay, so we know a little bit, but we're not the experts. And we want you to become experts of your marriage. We want you to become students of each other. We just want to encourage you to learn more, discover more, grow, and thrive in marriage.
That's right. Because Wendy's mentioned the magazines, right? There's so many comparison points out there. Magazines, other people, your parents. Look, none of those have anything to do with you, period.
Yes.
So stop trying to be your mom and your daddy and talk to each other. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, discovery is like the best part.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I think in the Bible it says the marriage bed cannot be defiled, right? And we've had people ask us, well, what does that really mean? Maybe we could talk about that.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did. Well, maybe we could talk about it again.
It might be time.
So what does that mean? Is there anything off limits in marriage? Again, we bring that right back around to you, right? We don't decide and we don't tell you what's off limits or on or acceptable within your relationships, but you can and you should.
Yep.
So Anna says we probably need to go ahead and make this a wrap so that we can get to making each other warm.
Oh, snap. Okay. I think we might do that. We might do that, Anna.
Yes.
I will say that there is one thing about marriage, about the marriage bed. One man, one woman. You two. That's it.
Yes.
Other than that.
And that's in here too. So when I'm with you, I'm with you. You know, and I want to point that out because it's very easy for us. You know, we hear a lot of times people talk about emotional affairs or being attached to someone else in some way.
Yep.
You should not be making love to your husband or wife, but not thinking about your husband or wife. And I can't emphasize that enough because love making is not just the physical act of coming together for intercourse. It is about so much more. It is about everything that we're talking about, being as close as possible in agreement and alignment and in the same place at the same time.
Yes.
Does that mean it's going to be 100%? Probably not, but as close as possible because you don't want to have one person up here and one person down here.
That's right. Right. Ultimately, your marriage, your sex life, is not about you. And I'm gonna say this for the brothers, because you know I'll be talking to the brothers. It absolutely 100% is not about you. Right. It is. I mean, it sounds wild, right? But it is an act of sacrifice. I'm all about that sacrifice.
Yes.
Myself, right? But it is truly act of sacrifice. Like, you know, either denying self or like caring more about your wife than you do, right? Your own well-being, satisfaction. But the cool part is if you get that right, your well-being satisfaction won't be an issue.
Right. The more you give, the more you get in some cases. And that's true. I mean, I'm not going to always say, hey, women, let me grab you and talk to you for a second. But I will say that, you know, if both of you are being sacrificial in what you're doing in your marriage, then both of you will win. Both of you will come out on top. It's when we're being selfish in our marriage that we suffer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I think we should go ahead and just and pause it there for now.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about locking the kids out.
You know what? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at some point here, so, like in the next few weeks. We come back to that every now and then, but some of y'all need a little bit more on this idea of what to do with those children.
Yeah, I mean, every time that you come together, it shouldn't be rushed, and you shouldn't be looking over your shoulder, and it shouldn't be getting it in when it fits in. I mean, there should be some planning or intentionality, if possible, so that you are preserving and protecting the time for you to be husband and wife to each other. We are a lot of things where sometimes we have our parents living with us, or we have our children in our homes, and those people can really infringe on and limit the amount of time that we have with each other. But it is so important to protect that time and preserve that time to be husband and wife.
Yep. So yes, having a kid up under, I mean, all the time. Yeah, there's all kind of reasons for that, and so we'll get into that at some point as well. Why that sense of separation and independence is important to begin to create and to build the expectation that mommy and daddy, you're like, we love you, but right now you gonna be like over there or at somebody's house or wherever it is, and do your thing, and we gonna do our thing. I mean, you know, mommy and daddy time, just hang out.
Yeah.
So,
and that might go for dogs too.
Yeah, what if there's anybody getting in your way, two-legged or four, they gotta go.
Oh my goodness!
That's for another night. Anyway,
yes.
Let's pray. If y'all don't mind, we want to pray for you for a second, and then we'll get you out of here.
Right? Yep.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we just come tonight just thanking you for being God, and thanking you for your love for us, for your grace toward us, and thank you for blessing us with this gift that is marriage. Yeah, we ask that you help us to be great stewards of that gift. Help us to love each other as you loved us. Help us to forgive quickly. Help us to keep no record of wrongs. Help us to approach our relationships with humility and sacrifice, and just to love more and more each and every day. We thank you for that. We love you. And we pray these and other blessings in your name. Amen.
Amen.
So,
and if you happen to need some love-making music, check out Lifetime by Mike and Wendy.
got that. Featuring JC.
Featuring JC.
So boy down in Atlanta.
Yes.
We're gonna play that. We don't have our normal production stuff, right?
Yes.
We'll see if that works. But that song hit like what? It's about pushing like 12,000 streams or something like that.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I mean, but that was produced specifically for the Marriage Shop.
Yes.
So thanks to JC for that. He just killed that. And so I don't know. We might be talking to him later on and see what else we might be able to do. Right.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But thank you all for everybody who's playing that and who's enjoying it. Just keep it up. All right. We appreciate you.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week, Monday at 7 in the Marriage Shop.
All right. Bye, everybody. All right.
What? Nothing. That's it. Is it playing?
First time I laid eyes on you, you would be here forever. I'm not being arrogant, and I still can't take my confident. Ooh, you're the finest. So glad you're mine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't wanna be with nobody else. Give me your love, that's all the wealth I need. Baby, you're priceless to me, yeah. To love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime. Yeah, 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 yeah. Promise I'ma be around. I'ma always hold you down. Won't you come and hold me down? Won't you come and hold me down? I just got no cool. Yeah, I know I got a rule, but I always keep it down with you. Yeah, and I know they see, girl, you're my queen. Beauty speaks for itself, loud and clear. Yeah, Lord in the air. It's the sweetest sound to follow my ear. I want the world to know I love you forever. That's a long time, babe. And I got time for you, baby. I'm in the mood. Ooh, time for a